Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. We likely know that the early church faced persecution and that many early Christians were martyred. In fact, some early Christians even sought martyrdom, believing that to die for the faith would bring great heavenly honor. One of the stories I have often found intriguing happened in Rome as those early Christians struggled to gain a foothold. At that time, there were two leaders in the church, a man named Polycarp and one named Sebastian. You need to hear about Sebastian, and I suspect in subsequent months I'll highlight his story when his commemoration comes around. For now, what you need to know is that as the persecutions got worse and worse, Polycarp and Sebastian had a huge disagreement. The church had decided that one of them needed to get out of Rome and survive the persecutions. So Polycarp and Sebastian argued about who had to go and who got to stay and face death. Both wanted to stay and face a martyr's death. In the end, the church sent Polycarp away, and Sebastian stayed. Again, more on his story perhaps another time. This week, like we did for a week in January, we are looking at the stories of Christians from history who lived lives of bold witness for Jesus, and we hear and learn these stories in the hope that our own lives will be strengthened in our witness for Christ. Today we want to look a little more deeply at Polycarp. Polycarp, a principal connecting link between the apostolic age of the church and the Christian life of the 2nd century, was born about the year 70. Irenaeus, who had known him in his youth, says that Polycarp was a disciple of St. John the Apostle, and that the Apostle of Asia appointed him Bishop of Smyrna in modern Turkey. He was a close friend of Ignatius of Antioch, and was probably at Polycarp's request that Ignatius wrote his famous epistle to various churches in Asia Minor and to Polycarp himself. Only one work by Polycarp has survived, his epistle to the Philippians, which many believe is actually composed of two letters to warn the Philippian church against spreading heresy that distorted important basics of Christianity. Polycarp's epistle was still read to the churches in the time of St. Jerome, but it was not included in the New Testament. During much of his life, Polycarp was in many ways the leading figure of Christianity in Asia Minor, and he was referred to with great respect and affection by Irenaeus and Ignatius. As a very old man, Polycarp went to Rome to discuss the problem of the dating of Easter, a vexing problem for the early church. After his return to Smyrna, he died a martyr's death in 155 or 156 at the age of 86. The commemoration of his death is the first Saints' Day whose observance is attested to in the history of the Church. A reliable account of his martyrdom is given in the eyewitness report called The Martyrdom of Polycarp. The report testifies to the assembly of the faithful at the old bishop's grave, as occasion allows, to celebrate the day of his martyrdom as his birthday. As early as the mid-2nd century, commemorations of martyrs at their graves on the anniversary of their deaths was a Christian practice. After some Christians had been thrown to the lions, Polycarp was called before the proconsul, and when he refused to give divine honors to the emperor and confessed himself a Christian, he was condemned to death. Since the games were over, he could not be thrown to the lions, as he fully expected, but was instead burned alive. The martyrdom of Polycarp places his death on February 23rd, and that is when he is still remembered and honored. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.